Welcome to the full council meeting of Newquay Town Council on Wednesday the 3rd of June 2026. I'm going to start by reading this statement that is before me, which says, before we begin, and as part of the start of a new civic year, I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being recorded, and that's recordings. We probably need to check the grammar on that. Those recordings will be retained and made available to the public to view. All attendees are asked to ensure that their contributions are appropriate, respectful and relevant to council business. Please also ensure your microphone is switched on if you wish to speak. The council is committed to upholding the principles of civility and respect pledge, which seeks to foster a positive and professional culture within local councils. This includes ensuring that councils, officers, employees, volunteers, members of the public and partner representatives are treated with dignity and respect at all times. We ask that all participants conduct themselves in a constructive, courteous manner and help maintain a respectful, inclusive environment throughout the meeting. Thank you. Statement ends. Item number one then, apologies. I think we've got apologies from Councillor Wright, Councillor Motta and Councillor Jacobs and the Reverend Anderson. Thank you. Number two is... and Councillor Hubbock's, apologies. Item two is interests. We'll take those as and when. If you feel you have a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in for an item on the agenda, please make yourself known to the chair and we will seek some guidance from the clerk as required. Item number three is minutes of the last full council meeting on Wednesday the 6th of May 2026. I will presume that you've all had an opportunity to read those and therefore I shall propose those. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson. All in favour? Thank you. And matters arising, do we have any matters arising from that? Anyone got any matters arising from that? No, very good. Item number 5 then, community safety reports, and I'll hand you over to Inspector Steve Johnson. Thank you, Steve, for coming.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It seems like a while since I've been here, actually, this time, so it's nice to be back and nice to see you all. I have produced the crime figures and a bit more of a report for you, as you can see, which is in your pack. As before, the crime figures don't tell the whole story. There is context behind them, but nonetheless, they're still there for you to look at and ask any questions, obviously, in due course. I've included this month's figures, or May's figures, but also the previous 2 months to that, just for comparison. I've also highlighted in green and red the rises and falls. Not all of them, the more pertinent ones, which may be of interest to those members. The next sheet over is the graph which shows where we are in terms of crime figures over the previous months, and the most important line there really is the purple one in the middle. As I've said before, that provides an average over the previous 3 years and gives us a bit of an indication of where we should be. You'll see we're kind of on that line for May. And you'll also notice the rise and falls through the seasonality that we have there as well. So we're kind of where we would expect to be with regards to those. Just going back to the rises and falls then, so you will see that there are a drop in criminal damage, which is nice to see. Public order offences have gone up, which, given the weather that we had a couple of weeks ago and the amount of visitors to the town, I'm not surprised to see that. What I would say is, though, that just for context, not all of those are in the town centre. Some of them are in the surrounding areas. So just to highlight the point even more about the visitors, some of those were on campsites and holiday parks and bits and pieces like that. So, so it's not all town centre based. Shoplifting has also gone up. That's a kind of bittersweet figure, really. So you'll know from my past reports that I've said that shoplifting in particular is underreported. We don't always get those reports, and we've done a number of things over the last few months to try and increase those reports. One being the introduction of UK PAC. That allows quicker reporting for shops. It goes into the system. UK PAC are a company that will support us in doing that. That's all supported by the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner. So it's nice to see that working. We are getting those increased reports, as you can see there. But within those figures, there is a serial offender who has now been apprehended as well. So it is giving us the figures that we want. It's giving us the reports that we want, which enables us to act quicker. So that's good to see, albeit the figures have gone up. Stalking and harassment I've also highlighted. You'll see that's up to 39 there. I know that always sparks sort of questions within this forum, and quite rightly so. That does seem like an awful lot, and I have tried to explain in previous occasions that there's context behind each of those, and not all of them carry the risk that you would anticipate, that you would expect them to. So they're not all the stereotypical stalking. Some of them relate to quite low-level offences, actually, not involving partners and so on and so forth. So it is high. It's high in all other areas, sectors, throughout Cornwall and actually Devon as well. So it's high everywhere, and it's high because of our recording standards and how we record them. They don't all carry the risk that you would be so concerned about. And if you need me to answer questions around that later, by all means, ask me. Violence with injury is also down, which is quite nice to see, particularly given the influx of visitors that we've had, as I've said. So that's the kind of highlights and lowlights of the crime figures. And like I say, there is, it's not the be-all and end-all of what we do, but it is an indication of what's going on within the town, certainly. In other news, for us at the police station, the neighbourhood support team, or the neighbourhood policing team for Newquay, are now up to full strength, and that's the first time that's happened in the last couple of years. So we're in a pretty good place as we head towards the summer, and we're getting some results. We're starting to see some pretty good results now from things that we can really start to get into. One of those things, as you may have seen on the media, was the night bus, which again we've secured for this coming season with the help of partners. That's really positive. That allows us to help clear the town, but it also offers that safeguarding opportunity for women and girls using the nighttime economy, and actually people working in the nighttime economy. They've got an opportunity there to get home safely. The bus station, as you know, is on CCTV. The buses have CCTV. They've got drivers on the bus as well, obviously, so they can get home safely. And that covers St Column, Major, Indian Queens, Fradden, and it also goes out to Perranporth as well. So that's good. You'll see that we've, with the help of all those partners involved in the derelict building working group, and I can see Councillor Kenny over there, who's played a big part in that also, we've managed to close the building, the hotel at the top of the hill here, which wasn't easy. It's not every day we get a closure order on a premises such as that. We quite often get them on houses for obvious reasons, but when we talk about hotel premises, I know that's not an operating hotel, but when we talk about those kind of premises, it can be quite difficult. So that's certainly something that we should be pleased with. It's taken a long time, and it would have been nice to have done it quicker, but people in this room know how much red tape we've had to go through for that. So that is good. Boardmasters, again, is well underway with its planning. It does get, I have to say, it does get a little bit easier every year because it's a bit like rinse and repeat. We do it year in, year out. There's quite good forums for feedback. We can start to look at planning those and removing any issues that we had the previous year. There will always be something that crops up, of course, but we can then start to look at it for the following year. So we're in a pretty good place with that. We've got a few tabletop exercises and a few engagement activities over the coming months, over the next couple of months, because then it will be upon us quite quickly. So we're okay there. One thing that we are doing this year, as part of the Boardmasters planning, is introducing live facial recognition. That is still in the planning phase at the moment, and I can explain a little bit more about that around the questions, but the brief overview is that it's a van that operates with live facial recognition. We can set the parameters within that van to look for certain people, and those people may be perhaps people that pose a risk to juveniles or women and girls. It may be people that are involved in organised crime, but we set the parameters, and those parameters have to be reasonable and proportionate and justifiable for all the right reasons. And then at the end of that period where we've operated the live facial recognition, that information is removed. So we don't keep any information. We have to be really careful, of course, with data protection. We have to be really careful with that collateral intrusion when we do things like that. So it is a really positive thing for us. We've got that because of Boardmasters being up the road, but we are the first town in Cornwall to roll that out. So again, that's something that we should be proud of. It's a really good safeguarding measure for the reasons I've just mentioned. So I'm really pleased with that. I hope that you are all in favour of that and supportive of that. I understand there might be some reservations from some people, but like I say, please ask me questions. If you need me to answer them outside of this forum also, we can have a lengthy discussion about it. That is it from me. I'm happily take questions as per normal.
Thanks, Inspector Johnson. So, and thank you for sharing the information on the facial recognition camera. That sounds like a really interesting and exciting opportunity to keep our visitors and indeed residents safe over the summer period when we know it's particularly busy. Before I go to, I'm going to go questions myself, to be honest. So when I was looking through the data just yesterday, I suppose I had a reflection that particularly with stalking and harassment and some of the other areas, what we don't do is we don't highlight here what the gender is on that, and I wondered, with an increased and absolutely needed focus on sort of violence against women and girls, it would be useful to have that. I wonder whether others felt that as well, to be able to sort of work in that space and improve the safety of Newquay for women and girls. Not that I'm saying that it's not a safe place as it starts, but it would be it would help us kind of to drill down into that detail. Maybe you could talk to that, Steve. Yeah, sure.
So that is an interesting point, and it's something that we do look at when we delve into our performance figures across Devon and Cornwall, really. And one of the points that we have highlighted is that if we're not careful, we start to look at volume rather than the individual risk associated with each one. So yeah, sure. I think that is a good point, and certainly something that I'll bring to the next meeting if you would like. So I will bring the figures as per normal, but I'll also give you a breakdown on the demographics within that crime type, because it is interesting. They won't, as you quite rightly point out, they won't all be women and girls, and they're not all adults either. So it will be interesting to demonstrate that for you, and I'll do that next time, certainly. Thank you. Councillor Brooke, then Councillor Morris, then Councillor Trumbull, then Councillor Martin.
Hi, right. Can we just stick with stalking and harassment for a minute? So, I mean, they're interesting figures. I think you could explain them in a number of ways. One of which could be if there's an increase in reporting, then that would lead to the spike in figures. What I would be interested in, and I don't know whether you're in a position to report on this in the future, would be about outcomes. So, for example, if those 39 cases are reported to you, when you track them, what would be the outcome of your intervention? Now, to give you a hypothetical, say, for example, if you have a low-level stalking case reported to you, and if your outcome, if your intervention is to have a discussion with somebody who you might, I don't know, you might issue a warning or a caution or something, and then if nothing happens after that, then you could say that would be a positive intervention and a good outcome. Okay, and that would be a story that one of those statistics there would lead to a good outcome because you've intervened.
Yep.
All right. So, is there a way of providing? I mean, I'm not asking for granular level data, but is there a way that you can report on these figures in terms of outcomes? Now, and it would have to be over time because you have to get a conclusion to a crime report.
Yep.
But that would give us some reassurance about some of the things that your service is doing and what difference it's making.
Yeah. Yeah, so that does, so again, if I relate back to our performance meetings, we do talk about outcome rates, but again, there needs to be context behind it because some of those outcomes are not particularly great because they don't carry the risk that some of them do, whereas the ones that carry the risk the outcomes look far, far better. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I will certainly bring more context for you for the next meeting, by all means.
Can I just say on that though, sorry to interrupt, early intervention on
Yep.
a stalking case is surely much better than waiting and it not being reported by whoever is being stalked because they don't think the police are going to do anything about it or they're not important enough or whatever, and then they wait and then the stalker becomes exceptionally violent or aggressive, whatever, and it's one of the big things. So it's actually, the more low level we get reported is actually a positive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this, and the reporting has changed and increased because of the way that we deal with it, and because of what happened in Plymouth 12, 18 months ago. So any stalking that's reported is reviewed and reviewed again and make sure that we're making progress on it. So yeah, by all means, I will. I'll bring you more context, certainly. I'll talk about demographics, I'll talk about risk, and I'll probably give you a previous month's outcome rate, just by sort of comparison, and maybe even talk about one of the journeys. Certain details omitted, obviously.
Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate that. I appreciate we always give you more work, don't you, when you come here. Councillor Morris.
Don't know if you're aware of it, but Saturday night there was more than one incident that we're saying. There was two groups of lads really creating havoc down in Central Square, threatening all sorts of people, the general public, members of the taxi industry, anything that moved. Have we got to wait for a Henry Novak type scenario before something is done about this?
Councillor Morris, I just want to remind you what this forum is for. This is, Inspector Johnson bringing his police report and for us to review that with him and ask him any questions specifically on the report. Any issues outside of that, I would recommend that you report those to the police via 101, either on the phone or on the internet.
Actually in a taxi. They will not answer you if you are driving.
Thank you, Councillor
So
Morris.
we'd have to wait about a week before we get anything.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. Inspector Johnson, did you want to say anything to that? I'm happy to move on. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Councillor Trumbull. Microphone.
The sexual harassment, do you have the data where social media is involved and how young some of those cases may actually be? Because that is, quite disturbing.
All of those details. So if I've got the ability to filter down by crime type,
Yeah.
and that will tell me who the suspect is, who the victim is, the location it occurred, the age of those people, whether the victim supported and involved, all of those different things. I can find all of
Yeah.
those different things.
Because when we see sexual harassment, we tend to think of somebody stalking, along the streets and things. But the role of social media, and would that contribute perhaps to the argument of withdrawing?
Yes, sorry.
The under-16s from
yeah.
using social media.
Can I just clarify? You just said sexual harassment. So
Yeah.
do you mean stalking and harassment, or do you mean sexual assaults?
Oh, you tell me. Yeah, it's stalking and harassment.
So stalking and harassment are not sexual harassments.
Correct.
All right. So, and previously I've tried to outline some of the, let's say, low-level stalkings that we have reported, and they are within that figure. So for example, it could be an ex-employee who's an ex-disgruntled employee who walks past a shop 2 or 3 times and shouts at the shop owner. All right. So it's still harassment.
Yeah.
Still harassment, but it's not the type of stalking that you immediately think about, or some people immediately think about when you hear that somebody's being stalked. So there's other examples I can refer to, but they're not. Please don't think they're all sexual harassment, because they're not.
No,
Right?
no, it's the social media aspect.
So, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's, yes, so yes, I am able to get those figures, so I can see how many, and that type of harassment, not necessarily stalking, but that type of harassment is more popular these days for obvious reasons, because of people's access to social media. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, then Councillor Taylor.
staying with the same subject. These 39 cases, are they individual cases, or are they 39 that, for example, if somebody feels that they're being stalked,
Yeah.
is that sort of one case, and that person will, if they repeat it and say, but, you know, it happened last Monday and it happened the Monday before and the Monday before that, is that all one? Or does that count as 3 in your 39?
So there's a combination of. So if somebody reports harassment or stalking one week, the following week or the following month, it's a continuation of the same offence. Okay. Unless it's been dealt with in between time. And when I say dealt with, I mean that we may have a positive outcome from it. That person may have been cautioned, charged, whatever it is. If it starts again, then it's a new offence. But if it's a continuation and that offender still hasn't been subject to any intervention, then it will be a continuation of. If there's a lull of activity, so the activity stops. So if I'm a victim and somebody contacts me, and then they don't contact me for another 4 months, that then becomes a new offence. But also, just to complicate the crime recording even further for you, there is, wrapped within that, there may be one person who's harassing 5 different people, so it might be one thing on a social media platform, but it could incorporate 5 or 6 different people.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor, and then Councillor Williamson, Councillor Wilson.
Thanks, Drew. Same topic.
Of course.
So I remember last time Councillor Hobbox pointing out that stalking is like on that trajectory towards like, and this is gender-based violence, like on that trajectory towards murder is like quite far along. And at that time you're like, well, you know, whoa, don't worry, because actually these numbers might be referring to like lower level stuff, like the example you just gave of someone harassing a person at shop. I think that we need disaggregated data to really know what we're looking at, and so like Councillor Trumbull's asked for like case study, like things about social media, but I think that next time we really need to see this broken down, because like I think Councillor Hubbart's concern was like really heartfelt, and kind of you like responded to her, but I'm not seeing in the data a way to like use the numbers to like respond to that properly. So I'd really like to see that more broken down next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
Thank you. Councillor Williamson, Councillor Wilson, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Just on a couple of other things. Okay. I see that bike theft and residential burglary were both 0, which is great. So I was just wondering if you think that there is a activity that has happened that resulted in that specifically, and same with criminal damage and violence with injury. What's can you go into a little bit more of the thought processes of, because we have had a very warm time, so you know, you'd kind of anticipate that that might create more people going out and about, and then also I understand we have some temporary visitors again up at the and I was just wondering what is happening there and what future plans could happen to prevent temporary visitors.
Okay.
Sorry, there's quite a bit of a rambling question there. Sorry.
So the burglary figure is good. Of course it is. Of course. So what I would say is that in terms of, again, the stereotypical house burglar, that's not something that we've had in this town for quite a long time. So the burglaries that are previously reported are linked to other things and are technical burglaries, probably, rather than somebody going out under the cover of darkness and doing those, you know, and breaking into people's houses.
But I know one of the ones that is in that 7 that was an actual.
Yeah. I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying we don't get them, but it's not when you have somebody who's doing that, we tend to find there is a pattern, and you know, so we are fortunate that we don't have those people around at the moment because they're somewhere else, let's say. So that's good. The bike theft is an interesting one because that goes up and down. So there is no real explanation for that one. I'm sorry, you asked a few questions there, so I can't remember what these ones were.
I was just wondering about the criminal damage and the violence with injury. They're both green, they're both like,
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
is there a like really positive story? Because they are, that is, I mean, 25 violence with injury is still not great, but we do have a vibrant nighttime economy as well. So, yeah, I was just wondering what the positive story was behind those two.
So, well, it's always hard to tell, you know, and quite often that kind of success isn't measurable. But there is the art projects going on around the town, which has probably reduced some of the graffiti, or we just haven't had that reported. So I think that's having a really positive effect. And I forgot what the other one was again. Oh, the violence with injury. Yeah. So the town rangers.
Really?
The town rangers. The fact that there's a presence, not all the time, but some of the time, the fact that they're around is really helpful. So yeah, that could have contributed to that as well.
And then our temporary guests.
The temporary guests. So the temporary guests. So I haven't been in the office this afternoon, but I was aware that they'd moved from their location where they've been for the last week and a half.
Okay.
So are you telling me that they've moved to Tregonwell Hill? You're telling me that's where they've moved to? Okay.
We know where to go.
So my
Sorry, I
understanding,
thought somebody said they'd moved to Tregonwell
yeah,
Hill.
so my understanding is that they left 2 days ago.
Yeah.
They've left a bit of a mess, which I understand
Yeah.
Biffa is either in the process of or has cleaned up. Tregonwell Hill was actually wasn't visiting guests at all. It was some holiday makers who just happened to park a couple of caravans, a couple of motorhomes.
Okay.
But I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Is that okay, Steve? And
Yeah,
then,
that's fine.
Councillor Wilton, then Councillor Thompson.
Could you just share with me if in amongst those figures anywhere or recorded separately or hopefully because they're at zero, whether or not hate crimes are recorded and where they are put in
Yes,
those,
they are.
that
Yeah,
data?
yes, they are recorded, and they're wrapped within those figures. So a hate crime is a bit of a flag. So you say it's a hate crime because it can, and that could be an assault, it could be a violence with injury, it could be a stalking and harassment. You know, it could be any number of crimes, but it will be flagged as a hate crime.
Because of the
So-
5 legal
Yes. yeah.
standings. So
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that something that we should maybe report separately in the current climate and have visibility of? Just obviously there's events planned for the year,
Yeah,
etc., and we see
yeah,
quite a
yeah.
lot of dialogue, mainly online, to be fair,
Yeah.
where within our community there
Yeah.
is
So
pushback.
you're asking me if I can produce those for you because
Well, if
that's-
appropriate, to
yeah.
fellow
Oh,
councillors,
certainly. Yeah,
I think it should be of interest.
Yeah. Within those figures, I can tell you how many of them have got hate crime flags. That's
Yeah.
easy.
Okay, thank you.
You know, and I will probably know which ones they are within it. I might not record that down for you, but if you ask, then I might be able to.
Well, I think it's something we should
give you some
ask, yeah.
indication.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, thank you, appreciate that.
But in the interest of protecting those people involved, I
Of
may not be able
course.
to tell you everything. That's what
No,
I'm saying.
appreciate
But
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that, if it's possible to have any historical data so we can just see a trend on that, just to know if
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
increasing
Yeah.
or no.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you,
no
Councillor
problem.
Thompson, and then I think we'll wrap up
Thank
for
you,
Steve.
yeah. So sorry.
I might
Sorry,
need to read
Steve.
the minutes on this so that I can know what's supposed to do.
It's just to add to the burden of data breakdown for the stalking harassment. Is it possible for like timing? Because I'm thinking of like, we've got a cap coverage in terms of street lighting. We're looking at that and particular areas which, you know, when the lighting goes off, if there happens to be an issue late at night, and if that's an issue, that could be really helpful if that was
Yeah,
included in that.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly.
As well.
Thank you, Inspector Johnson. As always, we more than appreciate your time and, you know, your transparency. And Councillor North now wants to answer your questions. I was just about to let you go. We're not allowed to accept questions from the public gallery to Inspector Johnson. Happy to take those via public questions time and then pass them on to Steve in the future. So yes, as I was saying, thank you for all the time that you put into this and for the transparency, you know, and the way in which you come here and allow us to grill you on the crime figures. but, you know, please pass our thanks on to yourself and your team for what you are doing and keeping us safe. And indeed, you know, as we previously said, you know, safest town in Cornwall. I'm still holding on that one. Very good. Well, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you've now got lots of data to go in front, and I'm sure you've got better things to be doing with your evening. So thank you ever so much for coming, and we'll see you next time.
You will do.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. So, brilliant. So item number 6. So we've got open session for electors of Newquay. Those are verbal and written questions. I don't think we've got any written questions. We have a gallery full of people, which is lovely to see. And thank you all for spending your Wednesday evenings with us. But does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask? It must be on an item on the agenda, ideally. But we might be able to give you a little bit of leeway in that. Anyone got a question? Or are we just here to spectate? Oh, very good. Yes, please. Come down to the microphone, good sir, and if you press the green button, the light will come on. If you could tell us your name and confirm that you are indeed a resident of Newquay, and then ask your question, and we will attempt to answer.
Yeah.
Is the light on? I can't see that.
The red. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm just trying to get my phone open because I've got some pictures in here. So my name's Nick. I live on Beechford Avenue in town. So I've been in Newquay for 3-4 years now. My question's regarding the noise pollution and traffic in the town centre of Newquay. And I felt sort of compelled to come here because I get so frustrated, and I'm like, what can we do about it? There's signs up by the cinema that says during, I think, certain months, cars shouldn't be going down there unless it's for access. And then there's another sign by the Cook Juice place, if you know what I mean, going down, is it Beach Road? And again, I think it says access only. So my question is, like, how are those signs enforced? And what's the standing of those signs? Are they legal signs that the public should obey, and, you know, the consequences if they don't? Because living on Beechford Avenue, all I see is a lot of people either coming into town to park to shop, which is okay, but that's maybe not to be encouraged. And then a lot of people just driving around in cars and bikes, usually with very loud exhausts. And, you know, we make such an effort with things like the murals and the arts and try to create a nice ambience for the town centre for everybody. Yet the noise pollution is unbearing sometimes. And it always seems to be the same type of people that seem to want attention, drawing attention to themselves. And as a, you know, just a member of the public, I get very frustrated with it. I feel like there's nothing I can do. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely hear you, Nick, and thank you for coming and asking your question. And I feel your frustration there, and indeed had some similar reports from residents in my area, just on St George's Road, just up. So absolutely feel that. As a town council, sadly, we aren't responsible for the highways. That's a Cornwall Council and highways issue. Your Cornwall councillor for that area is sat in the room, though, Councillor Kenny. I don't know whether you want to say anything or just take Nick's details and come back to him with a full and proper response.
If I may, I'll take the question because I've got no clue of the answer. I don't know anything about the signs. I don't know who enforces them. My guess is that nobody does.
No.
I'm not even really aware of them, so I'll have to wander down and take a picture.
I think I've called the council before and they told me it was a police matter. When I've spoken to the police, they said it could be treated as antisocial behaviour. But when you follow the process on the website, you need a witness, you need video evidence and things like that. So it kind of makes it difficult. I've got to be out there on my phone filming people driving by.
What you're asking is what status has this sign, these signs actually got? And I'm not even aware of them, so I'll try and find out.
Yeah, I took photos. I can read out what they say, but it's very sort of specific. It's meant to deter people from coming down. You know, there's pedestrians, there's holiday makers, there's local people, and I think, you know, if people need access for deliveries or business purposes, or they live on the roads, then that makes total sense. But if all you're doing is driving around just to do it because you can, and just trying to show off your fast car or your loud exhaust, it's really bad for the town.
And so just as an offer, I've had a few reports on St George's, and one of the areas that we were exploring was noise cameras. They have these in other parts of the country, apparently. So happy to work with you on that, Councillor Kenny, if that's an alternative. If we could take your email address, Nick, don't say it over the microphone, but Laura will jot it down, and then we'll pass it to Councillor Kenny, and we'll be in touch, and maybe you could email her those pictures as well, and we can certainly pick that up with Cornwall Council and Highways. But firstly, around the status of those signs, and secondly, if there's anything additional that we can do, either with Highways or indeed the police, around the noise. And sorry that you're going through that, because that sounds...
I'm sure it's been happening a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not the first person to notice it, but if no one says anything, then nothing gets done. But
yeah, quite.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you for coming in. Appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions? Please, Colette. Yes, if you can say your name, confirm you're a Newquay resident, and then ask your question.
Hi, yeah, my name's Colette Holden. I am a Newquay resident. I'm just trying to get my phone to work. Sorry. So my question is in relation to agenda item 14A, the Dower Glan vote of no confidence against South West Water. And I just wanted to ask the question really of the committee, whether you were aware that in the flood mapper summary, yearly summary for 2024, Newquay experienced 221 sewage spills with a discharge of a combined 764 hours, which is absolutely massive. And if you're also aware that on the Surface Against Sewage app, that shows historical data for all of the, I think, 6 combined sewage overflows that Newquay has. The number of spills has jumped around 4-fold for each of those CSOs since 2010. And in addition, are the committee aware that Newquay residents, by function of the fact that Newquay is one of the most polluted places in the southwest, has just been asked by Lee Day & Co solicitors to join the mass class action lawsuit that they are taking out against South West Water, and I think that that reflects really badly on the town.
Thank you, Colette. So in answer to your question, so sadly I was aware of the numbers. I think, you know, we're all very much on top of the fact that that's what's happening. As you'll be aware, as a town council, we have very limited levers that we can pull with South West Water, and in fact have, you know, in the past tried to establish working relationships with South West Water to try and address the issues that their infrastructure is causing in our town. Sadly, not through fault of ours, those relationships haven't been particularly prosperous. And indeed, I think you'll see this evening a debate around that item. Are many of you here to listen to that debate? Right, okay, so we might pull it up the agenda. So I think you'll see from this evening's debate around that item that there will be a lot of passion in the room, I'm sure, not predetermining the outcome, but I get the sense, you know, we're all, well, I think most of us use the sea around Newquay and will be really annoyed about the situation, disgusted, frankly. And yes, I was aware of the lawsuit, as I think most of our councillors will be. And whilst I can't say that the town council is in support of such action, personally, I fully support the action being taken. So.
Yeah, I think as residents we all feel like we don't have an awful lot of leverage over South West Water apart from withholding our bills, which is difficult and could lead to being taken to court. So we don't want to do that. I think it'd be really, really good if we could get the support from NTC to use this particular lever, which uses the recent 2025 Water Act and the provisions in that.
Yeah, no, I think, well, look, I don't want to predetermine the outcome of the debate, but I hope that you'll hang around and watch the debate. I'm sure you'll find it of interest. So thank you. Hopefully I've answered those 2 questions for you, and thank you for coming in and asking those. Has anyone else got a question? Please. If you could just state your name, confirm you're a Newquay resident, and then ask your question.
Sorry, should I say that all again? So I'm a local surf instructor, and I'm here to ask questions because I'm so passionate about the issue, because of just the amount of lessons I've had the council, the amount of risk I've had to take, taking customers into the water, having to choose between whether I keep customers and myself safe and healthy or losing out on a day's pay. And this is a situation that not just me, but hundreds of water sports instructors in this town have been put in every season, every year. It's not a situation we've ever been in. So I just wanted to ask, is the council aware that, in addition to the very great stats mentioned by the other speaker, that Pennon, who are the parent company of South West Water, paid out over £133 million to their shareholders just last year. That's up from £45 million the year before, and that's despite the fact that there was a jump in prosecutions of the company. In fact, they were just prosecuted in Exeter County Court yesterday for the Brixham incident, in which cryptosporidium, through their fault, through their negligence, was leaked into the drinking water, leading to dozens, if not over 100 people falling ill. They're going to be in court again tomorrow, being prosecuted in Plymouth, being sentenced for charges they've already pled guilty to for serious pollution incidents, 17 of them in number, up and down the coast, not ones including Newquay just yet, but one of the beaches I've worked at specifically, be interested to know if the council knows, is that, within that figure we've heard before for all of Newquay, between January 2025 and April this year, over 646 hours of that was just Fistral Beach, of that figure that we heard, which is absolutely atrocious when we think about that's the centre of the UK surf economy and community. And that's what's being done to it. That's the risk. Surfers Against Sewage have over 170 sickness reports from water users, and over 60 of these were just Fistral Beach alone, even though that is very likely severe underreporting. And I'd just like to bring further attention to the fact that Ofwat, the regulator for the water industry, have just concluded a multi-year investigation that showed that the company had systemically failed how to build, operate, and manage wastewater infrastructure. And South West Water, in the cases that I mentioned previously, have admitted breaching licence conditions. So I really hope that this council will join the 24 others in Cornwall that already has and do something to really stand on the right side of history and send a vote of no confidence to South West Water. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So just in answer to your question directly, yes, aware of the shareholders' payments last year. Frustratingly, at the same time where our bills are almost doubled. I think that was your question. Again, in terms of the item on the agenda, we'll bring it up the agenda in a minute, and we'll have that debate so that everyone can see that. Councillor Thompson, did you want to contribute?
Yeah, I think as well. This all started when the previous government administration actually withdrew all the Environment Agency paperwork and protections that were in place, and it became a self-regulating body. So I'd really start encouraging, as well as with this campaign, but in terms of lobbying our MPs to give the Environment Agency back its welly, that it's not self-regulated, that it is properly regulated, that there's proper staff involved, and it's properly budgeted and accounted for, that it is to bring back that paperwork and legislation that is there to protect us from them. At the moment, we have no, regulation really welly to do that. So I'd really, sorry, that was poorly put, but I'd really start lobbying our MPs en masse and flooding them with
demands that we give central government back their role as governance. That's what they are there for. Yeah.
Thank you. So, unless there's any other questions, no. Okay. So here's what I propose. We will bring it up the agenda, but before we get there, let's just rattle through the next couple of items. I note that there's a couple of Cornwall councillors present, and they will want to present reports, I'm sure. So we will bump up item 14 to just after item 10, which is the Cornwall Council verbal, written or tabled reports, if that's okay. So if everyone's happy with that, that should see us get to that in the next 15 minutes, if that's all right. Councillor Brooke.
Do you need to propose the second and vote on that?
So I'll do that when I get to get to it, if that's all right. So correspondence, Andy, have we had any correspondence? No correspondence to speak of. Item 8, Mayor's announcements. I'll rattle through some of these. So in the last month, I have attended some youth awards, thanks to the Lions, and it was brilliant to see the children, the wonderful work the children were doing in our community and celebrating that work, real leaders within our community. I had an opportunity to go to the Newquay Hornets colour run a few weekends ago. I didn't get covered in paint myself, but I watched it all going off and it was brilliant. Got the opportunity to speak to many of the runners and announce them off. And I understand that from that one event, they raised more money than they ever have from a single event. So well done to the Hornets and look forward to that again. Attended the brilliant Eid Festival on the Killer Court, which was supported, of course, by our events manager and Zamans on Henver Road. And thank you to Mo and Naz and the family from Zamans for putting on what was a brilliant day. I mean, we had the weather as well. It was a little windy, but a brilliant day nonetheless. Great to celebrate our community. I broke ground on the new Mount Wise Play Park this week. Much talked about. Finally got there. Really exciting times. It's great to have our partners in there in terms of Boardmasters, Newquay and Bloom, Bid and others. Had a really good catch up with the Boardmasters founder over the last few weeks. That was a pleasure as always. Really good to hear about that. And I think we've got another meeting booked in for the council in the next couple of weeks with Boardmasters. Had a walk around with Bid just a couple of days ago. Mark and I had a wander around town. We try and do that monthly, identifying issues that both the town council and indeed Cornwall Council we can work together to deal with, and got to chat with the rangers that Inspector Johnson referenced, and they're doing a brilliant job. Got to open Pixel Pop as a new shop in town, moved from Chester Road, only opened last August, doing wonderful things, now inhabiting the space opposite the Maharaja in what used to be the Old Mexican. I understand that the Nicky Hotel, which is the Hotel Victoria, scaffolding is down. I walked past with Mark just a couple of days ago. It's looking epic, actually. Really, really tremendous what they've done with that refurb job. And I understand that they're opening in a couple of weeks' time. Still trying to get in there to have a look inside because I'm really nosy. Went to the MCM launch event this week. Councillor Thompson also attended to celebrate the launch of the MCM, which has been a bit hit and miss, hasn't it? I mean, I got caught in par on the first day at launch, so you know, I think things could have gone better. But still, nice to see the biggest improvement to our rail service in Newquay since the 1960s. Now I can't read my writing. Oh, bodyboard bins are out and about around Newquay, the ones I had built last year. They are at Towan, South Fistral and Porth, that's it. And I've just, out of my own pocket, had another one built this week, and I think the team yesterday took that from my house down to Watergate, which will be the 4th location for our bodyboard collection. We hope to do a big thing around that in the autumn again. Surf statue handover has been pushed back from yesterday till the end of the month. You'll have all had an email around that, and I can't read that writing, so that's me. So thank you. Has anyone got any questions on that? Just happy to receive. Very good. Item 9, financial statements. So these will have all been gone out and signed off, so they are just for noting. I'm happy to propose. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson. Does anyone have any questions on those? All in favour? Thank you. Item 10 then, open session for Cornwall Councillors' verbal, written and table reports. I see 4 in our midst. Who wants to go first? Councillor Kenny.
I was going to start with the Mid-Cornwall Active Travel meeting as well. I'm charitable enough to point out that the train broke down, so it didn't. So unfortunately, the train didn't appear. The bigwigs appeared by taxi. The lemon drizzle cake was very nice, and it was absolutely. So it was a good networking opportunity. Other things associated with it, the redesign of the Tolcarn car park, that's now completed and open, and it looks really good for both coaches and residents. It's currently free after 4 p.m. and free in winter. I welcome the work on the parking lines outside the car park. It's making it clear where street parking is available and where it isn't, and that should resolve the problem that we've had where delivery vehicles were being blocked to the commercial area in Quarry Park Road. I wish the relining had gone a bit further. The next phase, the relining of Oakley Terrace, I've asked them to repaint some of the residential lines outside the residential part while they're about it. The design of the plaza, or is it a piazza? I can't remember. Piazza. And I guess the contentious removal of the East Street parking, that's all due in the next stage in September. Station area redevelopment, we haven't had a report back on the master plan for this area. We had a presentation on December, so I wouldn't think it would take too long. The Deputy Mayor mentioned the original Old Wall, which I don't think was handled by Brunel. It was a bit early for Brunel, late for Brunel. But I did speak to officers, and they said with some reassurance that the value of that wall, it's historic, it's dreadful condition, but it has been recognised. Town Headland and Little Fistral car park, talking of car parks, it is recognised that the long-term issues of illicit parking and antisocial behaviour at Town Headland have not been resolved under Cornwall Council. There's a long discussion on St Newquay Safe with all the agencies. There is a problem of what the police are responsible for, not much, and what the council are before. They are again organising a separate working group to discuss that, and I've asked for Esplanade Road to be included there as well. Residents parking, we had a presentation on the responses to a somewhat disappointing lack of engagement actually, with the exception of those areas, or rather one area, that has been campaigning for a road-specific solution for years. I'm looking at Councillor Slade now. We've got some disagreement between us about whether we should just do a localised scheme similar to Eminers Road or a Cross Newquay scheme. The end result is there's going to be a more targeted survey in September, so watch the space, and sadly no changes in the coming season. The highway schemes, they've been all costed now. I've got some sort of crossing over Tower Road by the Crown Trot Street junction. Some money allocated, but I suspect not nearly enough to make an efficient change. So we're just awaiting for the more detailed proposals now. There was some confusion on the Town Council's expression of interest. The powers that be were unwilling to consider speed limit changes, so the expression of interest for the Town Council should now be a review of that foul junction between Mount Wise and Bury, St Thomas and Trenance Roads. I think they've picked that up. Not a Cornwall Council thing, but I am proud of the Derelict Building Working Party administered by the Town Council. I think we should be proud of it, particularly thanks to Jacob. We've had good support from the agency. You've heard the inspector talking about the closure of the hotel. It's one of the few derelicts that's not in my division, although my residents can actually spit at it. It's private property. This is always the problem with this one. And it meant that community safety in Cornwall Council had to fight to get authorisation, including a court order, to close it, and to get Biffa to move the fly tipping. They don't usually do that on private property. It still looks absolutely dreadful. Hopefully it's now secure, so let's hope for the best on that one. Coastal Change Management Plan, again, Town Council issue. We've had the second meeting of the Cornwall Council-led plan to produce a Coastal Change Management Plan to go with our Coastal Change Management area. We've got the active support of the Coastal Protection Agency or Authority and the Environment Agency. So it's going to be the first of its kind, and hence it's a pilot, and hopefully we might get some funding for it. Otherwise, it's just been the normal routine of responding to and acting on residents' queries. They're all important issues, but not really of general interest. We don't close down over the summer, at least my committees don't, so just watch this space.
Thank you, Councillor Kenny. Just a tad over 4 minutes, but thank you. I see two Cornwall councillors in the pub. Oh, did you want to ask a question? Sorry, please do, yeah.
Yeah, just a couple of quickies. It's good to hear about the parking survey. So what I understand, you were saying that the survey was not a good response because it was online, so there's going to be a paper one in September? Is that
Basically it, but I think it's going to be more targeted. I think they're actually going to deliver to houses. I'm looking at our mayor now because he was at the meeting as well.
My understanding was there were leaflets that we were going to distribute
so
ourselves.
they're going to try and get more people into. It was just an online thing, and I mean, with the exception of Trebarrad Crescent, which I think have provided about 25% of the responses across the whole of Newquay, there was very little take up, which is exactly the problem when we tried to do this years ago, that we just couldn't get enough people to show an interest in what we were trying to do. They complain about street parking all the time, but we just couldn't get the interest going. We're trying again this time.
Yeah, and just the other thing is, were you aware of the fact that Ocean Housing were spraying our old friend glyphosate on their properties apparently recently? I know Cornwall Council are not doing it now because of recent developments, and Town Council doesn't do it. Is there anything you can do, because it was in Central somewhere, I think,
It's private property. And the supermarkets are the same, and the farms are the same. No, it's standalone. It's standalone. There's no way that we can do anything about that.
Is there any way?
You could ask them. You could ask them.
I could ask them, or you could ask them.
No, it's not down to me. I mean, you can ask them, or you can ask them on behalf of the Residents' Association.
Okay.
Councillor Morris, quickly.
Just one thing. What about the absolute worst junction in Newquay, this one down here? When's that going to be dealt with? The one down the bottom of this road, because that is the most dangerous junction in Newquay.
They keep coming back to us saying that the signage is fine and it doesn't make any difference. The other one that's a problem, which you commented on, and you were quite right, is coming out of Fore Street car park, where they absolutely assure us that the signage is great and people won't turn left into the one-way street. I think they have now acknowledged that they do turn left.
They have made a change there, haven't they? I was there with BID, with Mark from BID just recently, and I'm trying to remember what the change was. I think they've repainted the no entry on the road. So it's better. And in fact, as I was there, I was watching someone, oh no, we can't go that way. And then, but yeah, thank you.
Bottom, no, I mean, it's just, they've repainted the signs, don't turn right, don't go up Marcus Hill, and yet we know they do.
Just very quickly on that, Mark and I had a walk around with the chap from Cormac who deals with all the road signs 3 or 4 weeks ago, and have highlighted a number of them, including those. So I did that in my capacity as mayor, rather than Cornwall Council, just as a. And he's committed to changing a number of the signs in readiness for next year. So, Councillor Glenville, did you want to provide a report? Please step down to the microphone. You have 4 minutes to provide your report, and then we'll offer questions.
Yeah, good evening. I won't be as long as Councillor Kenny, obviously. Yeah. Could I first start by thanking the people in the gallery for coming in and asking some fantastic questions. I just wish that people would come in at every meeting and ask the Town Council questions, because that's what it's here for. I think it's really good, so thank you very much. Secondly, I haven't really got an awful lot to say. There's bits and pieces. It's like the normal, obviously, with being the outlying areas of Ryalton and Colon ward, it's just grass cutting. We're trying to get grass cutting done in certain areas. And one of my biggest arguments at the moment, and that's with County Council, is the churchyards. The Fair Park churchyard and St Callum Minor churchyard, the grass in there is 4 foot high. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I've taken these up. I spoke to Cormac about it yesterday. They messaged, sent messages through to try to get it cut. So, I mean, that's about all really. And like I say, it's all small bits and pieces. I have got one question, which I was hoping the inspector would still be here for. And that is, with Boardmasters, as it's come up this evening, I want to know what the council's view would be on the buses terminating at the railway station. Simply because myself and the other councillors have been through the town, and we've asked people in the shops. Now, I can remember having a discussion with you a few months ago over it, and I've had a discussion with the chief inspector about it. And everybody I've spoken to are telling me that at that period of time, they're losing money. And simply because the buses now are bringing them down from Boardmasters and taking them straight out to Fistral Beach because they've got pop-up bars out at Fistral Beach. So I would like to see the buses terminate at the railway station, drop the people off so that the people from the buses then have got to walk through the town. The idea was, if they had Boardmasters, that the people of the town would benefit. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not.
Thanks, Councillor Grenfell. So firstly, I suppose what I would point out just as a point of accuracy is that the shuttle bus from Boardmasters Festival site starts and finishes at the bus lane, at the bus station. It does not go to Fistral Beach at all. So it starts and finishes at the bus station. The train station wouldn't have the capacity for the number of shuttle buses that they hold at the bus station during the Boardmasters Festival. There can be anything up to 5 double-decker buses at any one time at the bus station, either dropping off, ready to go up to the site, or loading. So just as a point of, just reflecting some accuracy there. I suppose what I would say is the economic reports don't play out the view that Boardmasters doesn't bring any money to town, but I would certainly recommend that you have that conversation with Boardmasters directly, and ask them the question. But from my understanding, that there's not enough capacity at the train station to be having that many, and it would be quite disruptive actually having that many double deckers coming in and out of the train station on Cliff Road. All the way through the 5 days. I mean, I personally feel that it works really well at the bus station. It's a really slick operation that they run, and that means that all of the revellers then walk through town up to Fistral, both ways. So, but as I say, pick that one up with Boardmasters. Does anyone have any questions for Councillor Lanier? I had one around, unless anyone wants to. Sure, Steve, you go first.
Yeah, hi. Just a couple of things. Well, firstly, those churchyards sounds like really nice natural habitats, but that's the no mow thing, probably. Yeah. So the things that people have just said to me, and particularly traffic wardens I heard speaking to, is that the cycle path on Henver Road between the market and the turn off at Benython, where the Thai takeaway is and things, they've been complaining to me, traffic wardens as well, that there's loads of cars parked on the cycle path, so that when people are cycling or on mobility devices, it's clashing with pedestrians, but apparently there's no traffic order to enforce it. So could you have a look with highways to see if there's a way to stop people parking on that cycle path?
I mean, that's not my patch, but yes, I can certainly. It's Councillor.
Councillor Harrison, excellent.
Patch.
Did you catch that? All right, yeah. Could I leave that with you?
I'm quite happy to work with Councillor Harrison.
Brilliant.
Obviously, he's new in here. I mean, it's very hard for him to pick up.
Well, he says he's new.
And move on, but I mean, we can work together. I certainly look at that.
Okay, good.
But it would be nice if the cyclists use the cycle paths.
Well, yeah, that's why you want.
They don't use the cycle paths.
Because there's cars on it. But yeah, okay. The other just quick one while you're there is just as summer's approaching and people on the beaches at Watergate and Porth. What's happening with Whipstody's access? It just seems to have gone quiet. What's Cornwall Council doing about that? Do you know, Whipstody Beach? Because the steps are still closed. Obviously, the cliffs are unstable, but something's got to be done. Because you know people are going to walk around from Watergate, they'll get cut off, you have to get the lifeboat, it's unsafe. So what is going on about Whipstody?
Funny enough, I received an email about that today. And they sent photographs of the cliffs and where they've been chained off, if you like, where they put the chain fencing over the top to stop anything from falling. And they've taken some photographs of massive cracks within those cliffs. And some of the bolts, obviously, that were holding that fencing have gone rusty. So I don't really know any more than that today. I know they're advising people not to walk down or go over the fence. I mean, I know a lot of people still go over the fence, go down the steps and go surfing. I've had lots of people tell me they still do it. But unfortunately, if anything happens, then, you know, nobody can be held to blame apart from themselves for doing that. So yeah, I will look into that a little bit more and find out what's the gen is on that. I know it's really unsafe at the minute, but I'll certainly look into that and I can come back to you with at the next meeting.
Funnily enough, Councillor Slade, that was the question I was going to ask around the Whipstody, because I know your predecessor's predecessor was a strong advocate for getting that community asset, in so much as that beach, back into being accessible for the public, and it's all gone a bit quiet over the last 12 months, sadly. But sorry, just let me finish. So it would be good. And are you in contact with the Save Whipstody Cliffs group?
No, I'm not. But I get a lot of information through Helen, and I believe she's gone to a funeral or something today, I believe. And she will be posting you the same as what I had. The information that I had today will be coming to the Town Council tomorrow. She's put that in to say that she will be notifying the Town Council tomorrow about it. So you'll get exactly the same as what I've had.
Well, we look forward to receiving that and hope for your advocacy on getting access to Whipstody back soon for the people of Newquay. Thank you, Councillor Glanville. Councillor Harrison, did you want to make a statement? If you want to swap with Councillor Glanville. So same thing, 4 minutes for your report, and then I'm sure there will be questions.
Hardly a report, having been a councillor for about 6 weeks, but I am going to probably take a bit less time than Heinz will. I'm aware of a couple of issues. I've been told that I'm on a couple of committees now: budget development, health and adult social care, and sustainable growth. I'm aware of some issues down at Porth, parking on Beach Road. There's sand getting on the yellow lines, and that apparently stops anyone from putting tickets on cars. So I'm going to get the street cleaning team down there to sort that out as soon as I can. We did have a problem with some uninvited guests at Trelance, and I thank Councillor Kenny and Jeff Brown for bringing that to my attention last week. But they were certainly on the case, and they have now gone. They have left a terrible mess up there, not Councillor Kenny, of course, I mean the guests. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get hold of the relevant department tomorrow and see what can be done as soon as possible. I'm meeting with Mark from BID tomorrow, and I'm very much aware of the situation down on Henver Road with the parking and the yellow lines going over the cycle path, and so I hope to meet with the correct people very, very soon and try and do something about that.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Just as information, so Mark from BID and I reported the mess that the visitors at up by the trampoline park made to BIFA, and my understanding is that they were going to deal with that, but please do follow up with BIFA on that. Helen will have the contact for that. Does anyone have any questions for Councillor Harrison? All quiet? Very good. You're free to go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to rattle through mine very quickly. Again, I've written myself an ineligible list, so this is going to be shorter than the list. So we've now had our second Love Trarloghan event up at Trarloghan, which wasn't as well attended as the first, but it was a beautiful sunny day. And thank you to Councillor Taylor and her partner for coming and supporting that event. Our third Love Traralgon event is on the 20th of June. And we look forward to working with the community to put a bit of love back into Traralgon. As you'll be aware, I led a glyphosate motion at Cornwall Council, which ended up with 13,000 people signing a petition, hundreds of doctors calling on the Cabinet to cease their plans to start spraying glyphosate around Cornwall again. And after much shenanigans in the chamber and 2 hours of debate, we managed to get that all stopped and are actively, indeed as a town council, exploring options for public rail improvements ourselves, whilst Cornwall Council sorts themselves out. Lots of meetings about the boating lake, particularly with the Marine Group, and I see some members of the Marine Group present in the gallery. Pleased to say that there's some plans been approved for a new sluice gate, and I understand some funding available to do that, waiting on some criteria by the EA as to how we would be able to use that before that proceeds. I sit on the South West Regional Coastal Flood Committee, and as Councillor Kenny mentioned, we're doing this coastal change management project with some leftover funds from Bude, and very much championing that from that perspective. I was pleased to be voted in again as the Vice Chair of the Health and Adult Social Services Oversight and Scrutiny Committee at Cornwall Council, and look forward to working closely with colleagues on that committee, and indeed Councillor Harrison, as I understand, now has a seat. Successfully had, I think it's actually starting this week, certainly the path closure is this week, a new path from the A392, so the new estates, Trevithick, Goldings, etc., and the Treveth one, through to the back of Morrison's where the triangle is. That was a muddy path. No one really thought about connecting the communities when they built those estates, but pleased to say that we've identified some funding and that work is taking place, I believe, either this week or next. Beryl e-scooters will be coming to Newquay. We had a briefing on that as a town council, and I've had a couple of them as Cornwall Council, and I understand I will be going out and test riding those before they are available to the public. So I'm going to make sure that you guys are all safe. It's fine. Building of, I'm sure that this sits within your division, Councillor Kenny, but somehow I got dragged into it. Building on the corner of St Thomas Road.
Chickened out.
No, maybe. Building on the corner of St Thomas Road and Berry Road. I think it's a sanctuary house, housing house. There was broken windows, broken fence, looking a bit rough. We've managed to get most of that sorted or being sorted in the next few weeks. Lots of, well, a couple of issues with antisocial behaviour. I won't go into too much detail, but to say that we are dealing with those with Cornwall Housing and getting some traction. And then, as I said earlier, thank you to Councillor Trumbull for highlighting the travellers visiting Tregunwall Hill. Sadly, they weren't at all, and indeed they were just holiday makers with their caravan and motorhomes. What I will say is, you text me on the bank holiday Monday. I emailed the officer at Cornwall Council that afternoon, and by 10 o'clock on the Tuesday morning they were out on site and checking the area for what they call a WEN assessment, which is one of the assessments they have to do to then get them moved on. So huge thank you to you.
Could I just say that the reason I rang you was that they were quite difficult up there, and it was quite nasty, and you know, we had a coach of students, foreign students come in, and it was mayhem for a while, so which is why I reported it, but impressed with the speed at which it was dealt with. Yeah, no, as was I, and thanks to the officers at Cornwall Council who deal with that, and I can't read the rest, so that'll do. Thanks everyone. Questions? Councillor Morris.
I've had a lot of people report back to me the new roundabout at the bottom of Platinum Way, which is the new one on the if it gets to the middle of May, you can't see over it if you're in a small car. You can't see any of the other exits if you're coming from the town end. Can we have that exempted from No Mow May around the edge of it?
So I don't actually believe that sits within my division, to be honest. No, I don't think. I think you'll find that I have as you come down there, I have everything on the right, the roundabout, and everything on the left is actually Councillor Glenville. But I will double check that on the Cornwall Council maps tomorrow and let you know. My I suppose my response
It's
to that,
the
if it
division
were
I
in my-
fought against you. It is definitely in that division.
If it were in my area, and if it is in my area, then what I will say is, presumably, as long as cars can see left and right, then they can see what cars are coming. So, but I'll certainly take it on board if it is indeed my area. Councillor Slade.
Yes, just quickly. Could you heard tales that Cornwall Council has got some sort of budget for running channels across pavements in urban areas for facilitating charging of electric vehicles, and obviously as the uptake of electric vehicles will increase, it's more and more important that people in the more central urban areas can have access to charge their own vehicles, especially if we get residents parking.
Yeah, absolutely. Funnily enough, I had an email from the portfolio holder today about that. So Cornwall Council's EV cable channel subsidy support for residents to install an EV charging channel up to £1,200 towards the installation of a cross-pavement cable channel covering the costs of a typical installation. Eligibility criteria apply. Terms and conditions are available on the website. So yes, I think that's a really good initiative, and one that, you know, maybe we could support Cornwall Council in promoting, though they were really clear on the website, if you go to the website and check it, that it does not guarantee you a space near your house. You'd need something else for that. But no, it is available, it is open, and people can apply, so we should be promoting it. Any other questions? Very good. I am therefore going to propose that we move item 14A up the agenda to now. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor, all in favour? Thank you. So item 14A, to discuss Dower Glen motion, Councillor Steve Slade. I will pass over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to outline what this is all about, basically this motion proposes that Newquay Town Council joins scores of other towns and parish councils in signing this Dower Glen motion, which I think means clean water. Okay, the motion formally declares a vote of no confidence in the management of South West Water, and it would add our name to a collective letter to be sent to the Secretary of State demanding the removal of South West Water's management of Cornwall's sewage and water treatment through a special administrative order. This would transition that management into a publicly owned service that would be answerable to the elected representatives of Cornwall voters. This service would prioritise the Cornish environment, the local economy and public health over the private profit of shareholders. I'd like to thank contributions from the gallery, very good, and I'm pleased to be able to propose this motion to the council. So I'd love to hear your views.
Thanks, Councillor Slade. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Taylor, did you want to say anything on that?
I actually wrote a speech, and then the incredible people in the gallery went and said it way better than I could have. So I think I'd just like to add that I think this is so important for the community. It's amazing that we live in a town of people who are here because we love it, but it's also important because of nature, because I feel like we can get out of the sea when we're upset about sewage, but like aquatic life, they can't escape like the situation. I guess I'll throw in some stats to add to what Rob and Colette said. So as well as the 646 hours of sewage that was spilled from January 2025 until April 2026 on Fistral Beach, also 94 hours of spills were recorded in the Gannel, which, you know, is a pure and peaceful place and is just being absolutely ruined with this filth. And also I'd like to add to what Rob pointed out about Pennon, the parent company of South West Water, like their shareholders received £133 million in the last financial year, whilst at home we're feeling the squeeze because our bills have gone up on an average of 37% last year. Yeah, and you know, like there's all these court cases flying around, like Colette mentioned the class action lawsuit in Newquay, Rob mentioned the court case yesterday where South West Water was sued £2 million for like making 143 people sick, and they're in court again tomorrow in Plymouth because of illegal spills. Like, bro, this is so bad. So yeah, I'm seconding this motion because I really believe it's the right thing for this town and this county. Yeah, to say that this has to stop.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So, who wants to speak? We've had a proposer and we've got a seconder. So we'll now go to debate on the motion. Who wishes to speak on the motion? Councillor Williamson. I thought there'd be an array of hands there. Just expecting you all to stick your hand up. Councillor Williamson, sorry.
Hello. I'm not as informed as people in the gallery and my fellow councillors on the specifics, but as somebody who uses water a lot and their family uses their water a lot through Surf Life Saving and Wave Slaves and lots of other activities, and dog owners, etc., living in a community that is reliant on tourism for many different types of businesses, including surf schools and others, this is absolutely the most incredible thing that we have to do. The fact that we called a climate emergency a couple of years ago, this just continues to support that. So I'm fully 100% in favour of this motion. So thank you very much for bringing it to the table.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Does anyone else want to speak on the motion? Councillor Trumbull, then Councillor Kenny.
Councillor Thompson mentioned about lobbying your MP, but just for information, I'd like to pass on to you that he is on the case and he works really hard on this one. I'll just read you the email that I recently got. Thank you for expressing interest in my Water Wardens project in the last few weeks. It's great to see that people are wanting to be part of the community-led effort to put water testing into the hands of local people. I'm contacting you with details of the 2 launch events for this project. They're both taking place on Sunday, 21st of June. So this is the time you can go down, meet him, lobby him, and hear exactly what he's been up to and how you can get involved and get him involved more. The first one at Fistral Beach at 10 a.m, Sunday 21st of June, and the second at Par Beach at 2 p.m, with both meet-up points and their respective beach car parks. He appreciates there are other organisations doing similar stuff, and he's looking to fill in the gaps rather than to step on toes. The work will, of course, go alongside legislative action, but I believe the initiative will allow us to collect information that further enables us to hold water bosses to account. And what he's advocating is water wardens who are testing the water at particular times and getting the data in on a regular basis. So 21st of June, 10 a.m, Fistral Beach or Par Beach at 2 p.m, and he'd love to meet you all. Get down there and lobby.
Thanks, Councillor Trumbull. I do think that is extremely similar to the work of Clean Sea Nuki, as I said to you before. But of course, more water testing can't be a bad thing when we have such a void of water testing currently. So thank you for that, and we'll happily share that amongst our councillors if you want to forward the email on to Laura. Councillor Thompson, do you want to come in?
Yeah, can I just come back on it? I appreciate that, but it needs to be the government to govern and to actually give the Environment Agency back its legislative for doing all of that, rather than having local people testing. We still can't do anything. It's the government that've got to do it. It's not lobbying. That's a nice word. I'd like to lobby. Lobbying, sort of the MP to, or nice, publicity stunt down there with, come and do this, which somebody else is already doing. He needs to get his out and actually, start shouting up at London about it, not down on the beach down here where we all know we got a problem. Well, he should know that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Kenny was next, wasn't you?
I can't see much of a debate because I don't think anyone's actually going to disagree with this. I thought there was I was coming in on the same theme really as Councillor Trumbull, because there was a very interesting article, Noah's Piece in The Voice today, is very much looking at the alternatives, which I thought was an extremely good piece. My only concern with this is, by all means, let's have a vote of no confidence. The problem is, what is the solution? And we're not proposing a solution. We're just saying we need something different, which is absolutely true. And hearing about Fistral Beach, where I spend most of my summer, or the River Gannel, where I spend the other half of my summer, it's horrifying for the actual figures that we have.
Okay, thank you. Can we just clarify, Councillor Thompson, are you asking for an amendment, or are you...
No, not necessarily. I was just, you know, I'm just encouraging people to lobby MPs and things accordingly to add more money to this to change it centrally.
Very good. And I saw him at the Orchard last week, actually, and I was saying exactly the same thing to him. Sort it out. Councillor Martin.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to. I'm totally in agreement with this proposal, and I think it's on all sorts of different levels. So I think it is absolutely essential that people meet with other people of like mind and get people excited and concerned and active about what's going on, like you people are, and Justine leading the way. That's great. It's got to be, sorry, yeah, you know. Everybody is doing their bit, and but I think it's at different levels as well. So I think it's absolutely essential that this present government, even in the chaos that it's in, has to step up and say that all water companies need to be taken into public ownership. And I think that is one of the things that we are calling for, that we're not just saying this is not good and this is not working. We are offering an alternative, and one of them, which I personally believe in very, very firmly, is that all our utilities, in my opinion, should be in public ownership. And the sooner we get that done, the better it's going to be.
Hear, 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 hear. Anyone else want to speak? Councillor Williamson?
Yeah, I think going on from Councillor Thompson's comments about Environment Agency, I think Ofwat is also responsible here. And there are several different types of legal structures that can be taken by the government, including a not-for-dividend structure, which is where it is intended to make a profit, because businesses should make profit, but those profits are then reinvested back into the business and not offshored into Bermuda or any other nice place with beaches too. So and there are already examples of that being done. So Network Rail, for example, from Railtrack, was turned from a shareholder business into a stakeholder business as a not-for-dividend structure. So as long as there's no ongoing liability to the taxpayer for this taking back our national assets, I think it's really important to do that.
Thank you. So I'm going to take the opportunity, if that's all right, and then I'll bring you in at the end, yourself and Councillor Slade, to kind of sum up, and then we'll go to the vote. Is that all right? Or do you have something desperate you want to say now? Go for it.
Thank you, Councillor Trumbull, for reading that email. Volunteers from Clean Sea Newquay will meet with Noah on Friday to make sure that this is like a whole town community.
Sunday the 21st. Oh, perfect. You've got your own meeting. Very good. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to take the opportunity then, if no one else is waiting to speak. So I suppose I come at this from a really personal place. I use the water a lot, as many of you do. I'm also a father of 3 very small children. One's very small for child, the other 2 aren't so small anymore. And so as a family, we find ourselves in and around the water a lot, and we live just up from Porth Beach. So, and we know the stream there is really problematic all the time, not just some of the time. And as someone that many years ago was hospitalised with what I was told by the hospital was as E. coli poisoning, likely from having that afternoon been in the ocean in Porth, and then having to be injected to stop myself vomiting after hours and hours and hours of just solid vomiting. I feel this really passionately and really deeply. But not only that, as you know, as mayor of this wonderful town, which relies hugely on tourism and our natural resources, of which, you know, the blue and the green in this town are the things that really, let's be honest, people come to visit. And if we don't look after those assets, then, you know, instantly our tourist economy is going to take a hit. And so I feel really strongly, both from a personal perspective, but, you know, from a civic perspective as well, that this cannot be allowed to continue, which is exactly why we approached South West Water a number of years ago and attempted to go into what was at the time the UK's first partnership with a water company of a town council and a water company, and we had high hopes to at least try and work with them to deal with the issues that their infrastructure was causing on our oceans around Newquay. Sadly, they I'm just going to say reneged on the agreements that they made with us, and it all went very quiet. And so not only do I feel really passionately personally about using the sea, you know, civically from a mayor perspective, but actually having tried my best and our best to work with South West Water and for them to renege on that partnership agreement, I feel really angry about it. And I feel really angry about, you know, the environment that we're leaving for our young people. And as I say, I'm a father of 3, and the kids love the ocean and should be able to utilise it whenever they wish, frankly. And so, huge supporter of this motion. I think originally I had conversations with Mebby and Kerno, who worked to bring this motion to the fore. And I think one of my only reticences with this was really around, we're asking for something, but what we're not doing is we're not sort of laying a roadmap to how we might get there. And I did suggest that maybe we could add that in, but we haven't, and that's fine. I'm happy to go with the motion as is. I'm not looking to make any amendments, but you know, having listened to lots of podcasts recently on this specific issue, one with an interesting chap named Fergal Sharkey, some of you may know, who offered some really interesting and innovative ways that you might go about this without costing the taxpayer a penny, which I thought was a fascinating listen, and so would be very supportive of something like that. And I did mention that to the MP recently over drinks. So anyway, that's my monologue on this one done. Does anyone else want to speak on this before I go back to the proposer and second to close? Councillor North.
The proposal is regarding South West Water, but actually, you know, the Darn Glan talks about getting us to sign a letter regarding South West Water to the government, Ofwat and Cornwall Council. So I presume you're doing all of that. That's what this statement is, but it's not in our proposal, just to make sure that we do get all 3 covered.
Yeah, so I think it's on the documentation. Formal letter of note of confidence to the Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, Chief Executive of Ofwat, Leader of Cornwall Council, Cornwall Members of Parliament is where the letter will go, and that will go from us at Newquay Town Council should the motion pass. So anyone else want to speak before I pass over to Councillor Slade? No, Councillor Slade, do you want to sum up?
I'll spare you the rousing speech because everyone seems to be kind of on. But yeah, I mean, I think basically the whole thing is about that it's a letter that we're Newquay's late to join in the party on this. A lot of Cornwall's town and parish councils have already signed it, and as the bald riding capital of Britain, we need to put our weight behind this. I think the thing of the alternative is what it is it's a vote of no confidence in South West Water's management. They just, you know, it's not working out. So that we are going to try and, the letter will urge the Secretary of State through a special administration order to set up a publicly owned service, and that's what we're pushing for. So I hope you all back this motion, and thank you for listening.
Councillor Taylor, did you want us to add anything?
Just, I'm so grateful to everybody. I can't believe it's this windy, rainy day, and there's not even enough seats in the gallery for the number of people in Newquay that care about this. And we're a council that's really rigorous with each other and hold each other to account and don't see eye to eye on very many issues, and then here we are like really caring about this. So I feel really heartened. Yeah, thanks guys.
Very good. So we've had Councillor Slade propose, Councillor Taylor second. We've had a good debate. Can I have a show of hands in favour of this motion? I think that's unanimous. Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you to all the members of the public who have taken up their time this evening to come and engage democratically with us as the council. And we do thank you. And we hope you'll find time to come back at some point and join us on this and many other issues that I'm sure we have to talk about. And then the only other thing I just wanted to say before we move on to annual governance statement, which of course the members of the public are welcome to stay for, It is a riveting conversation as they leave the room. Is that actually it's been lovely to have a motion brought to full council. We haven't had very many motions brought to full council in the last 12 months, and I would welcome further motions, and I'm sure we would all welcome further motions and debate on things that matter to the residents of Newquay coming to full council in the future. Perfect. Thank you very much. Right, so now we move on to item number 11, annual external audit and year-end accounts for 2024-25. Is that right? 2024-25? It's not 2025-26. Typo. Anne, I'll pass over to you.
Hi everyone. You've got a lot of documents to go through under item 11, all to do with the year-end accounts and the approval of such and other documents. But I'll just go through them, and if you have any questions, then please just let me know. So within the first section, 11A, you have a number of documents that show the total. The first document is the total income and expenditure, just done by departments. So that gives you that by income and expenditure, and then you've got your closing balances. The next one is by committee, so that's the old committee structure, not the new committee, because obviously it's last year, and that has the detail of the income and expenditure and the EMR movements as a total across each. And these are basically the documents behind the accounts that obviously tally up. And the final one there is the balance sheet, and that again has last year's comparison against the end of March, which is the accounts that you will be looking to sign. Under 11B, you have a number of statements, summaries for the earmark reserve balances. So the first one is just sort of an overview of the total EMR balances as they are at the end of the 31st of March, which is the financial year that has just passed, and that gives you the balances for each reserve. The next document gives you a breakdown by committee as it's been agreed during that financial year, so you can see all the additions and the releases and the commitments, which are still commitments going forward into the next financial year. So that's for your information as well, and that's done by committee. And then the final document, this is something that hasn't come to you before in this way, in that given now there is a scheme of delegation and there are projects that didn't come to fruition in 2025-26 because we were going through staffing changes, etc. What we've done is I've collated all of the project works that are now in process and being carried out by officers and directors, etc., so that en bloc that have been carried forward into reserve, so that they can just be agreed at this meeting and released within these limitations, so that those projects you agreed last year, which were just part of normal budgets, can actually just carry on without having to come back to committee. So it's just a case of trying to save time. They were in the budget last year, so they wouldn't have been EMR releases, but obviously I had to put them back to save the money. So it was just a formality to try and make everything work smoother and more quickly. So hopefully those are okay. So that's an item that will need to be agreed. The next item that you have is 11C, and that is the fixed asset register. So there are some items on here that we realise are slightly out of date. We have gone through a huge project to get all of this information up onto RBS. It's taken a fair amount of time, but we are almost there. This is the data that will be submitted in the end as the end figure, but there are some tweaks that we will work through the year. But this is a big thing for us because we've obviously got it where we need it to be on the financial system. So that's a great step forward. In 11D, you have the internal auditor's final report. and hopefully you've all read this, and there are no issues that he has highlighted that, you know, members weren't aware of. I mean, it's a very good report, so you've got there. And he has also signed page 5, the internal audit report for the year end of the account. So he has signed that. And then the second document is just that document on its own, because that is a part of the year end accounts. So that's why that is separately as well. The next document, 11E, is a conflict of interest form, which has to be, is a question that has to be asked of all of you as councillors each year to see if you have any conflicts personally or professionally with the external audit company, BDO LLP. So that is a question that you need to answer, and I'm not sure if you want to do that now or at a later date. This form needs to be signed in this meeting, so that's something we need to come back to. And then the other statement of accounts and such, it's probably easier if we go through the 11E first and then go through each document one by one, because they have to be approved in order for the external audit. So I suppose the first question to you would be, with the first few documents that I've just highlighted, whether there are any questions, and if there are no questions, I suppose my first thing would be, are you happy to approve the releases from the EMRs for the projects from last year? I think that would be my first question.
Thanks, Anne. So, has everyone understood that? Anyone got any questions on any of that? Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, fantastic piece of work. Just overall, is there anything that's going to cause us concern about overspend, or yes, overspend, I guess, is the one that's probably the biggest concern?
So for last year, we were quite significantly under budget. I put quite a lot of money back into reserves, which you can see from the EMR statements. And I think that was mainly down to the impact of all the changes that we happened with the staff and the restructure. So I think that now we've got those directors in place and we're getting to the point where we're close to fully staffed. I think things will start to move quite quickly. And that will be shown in the new accounts that will go forward in the new statements. So I'm hoping that once those start to feed through to your committees, I'll get some real feedback about information that you're wanting to see as well, because I'm kind of going, here you go, this is stuff I think you want, but there may be stuff that you actually want. So that's a two-way street, and obviously I need you guys to feed into me to what you would find useful. So hopefully.
Currently no concerns.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so are we allowed to take A, B, C and D on block?
Yes, so
yeah.
you need to do a vote on those on
yeah.
block.
And then we'll do the conflicts of...
So you are authorising
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'll propose that we take 11A, B, C and D on block. Do I have a seconder? Councillor North, all in favour? Thank you. That's unanimous.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain. Councillor Morris, abstain. You always sound so loud. You'll get really close to the microphone. Okay, 11E then, the conflict of interest form. So this is around BDO LLP, our auditors. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest that they wish to make aware to us now? Councillor Kenny?
I don't. I just want to understand the process. Are we signing these individually, or are you signing them on block for the whole council?
It's on block. If you had an interest, you would write your name on here, and then it would get signed by the chair. So it was just, if anyone has an interest, they highlight it here and it will be recorded.
Okay. So do you want me to read these resolutions then? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, what you can say is 1 to 8 is a
Oh, I see. Okay.
9 and a yes to 10. To sign this first.
Oh, I vaguely remember this now, yeah. Okay. That's okay.
There's no conflicts, I tick the box, then you have to sign.
Okay, so just to confirm, That no one has a conflict of interest? No. Do we need to note that? Yes. So I'll propose that we note that. Councillor Kenny second, all in favour? That is unanimous.
Okay, and just to let you know, the reason this has to be done step by step is because you have to have a minute reference for each one. Otherwise you get told off at audit, so I'm sorry if it's a bit piecemeally. So,
live signatures going on.
yes, they have to be live. Very, very true. So 11F is your annual governance statement. And what I've prepared for you is a breakdown, and I did a similar thing last year, because this is on you guys, okay? This is really important. This is you saying that you are happy, everything is been done as it should be. This is why I complain occasionally that members don't come to assertion reviews, because you are responsible, you are signing this, so you have to be comfortable to say that you have checked everything. This is, you know, you pay me, you know, as a professional to prepare this information, but this element is on you guys. So I've prepared a little document that I hope you've all read that kind of highlights exactly what each question is asking and what we do that covers each. And it's just a case that between you, you're happy each of those has been carried out. And then it's the AGAR section 1, which is the second document, which has been pre-loaded with answers to yes, which say yes to say that we have complied, apart from the one about trust funds, and we don't have one, and that this would need to be agreed and signed in this meeting if you are happy that those statements are correct.
Okay, serious face. So are we all comfortable that ultimately we are all going to vote that we are assured that everything is as it should be and that we don't have any issues with the statements highlighted in the annual governance statement under 11F? That's the AGAR section 1. So if you're all happy, I will then propose that we the approval of section 1 of the annual governance statement 2025-26, having first considered the effectiveness of internal controls and council adherence to all relevant regulations and procedures, and that we tick yes to sections 1 through 8 on the annual governance statement, not applicable for 9, and yes to 10. I will propose that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor North. All in favour? If you're not comfortable, don't vote for it.
Abstain.
Thank you. So I will now sign on behalf of you all that everything is as it should be. I don't want to stand up in court for any of you, I'll be honest. I'll be with you. Yeah. And then we're on to 11G. And do you want to talk through that one?
Yep, sure. So this is the next section, which is actually the accounts. They're very, very basic, condensed down, which is why I've provided you with all the other information. I've also given you a bank reconciliation, the reconciliation between the two figures, which is what the auditors get, and your notice of public rights. So this is the document that obviously I have signed, and if you are happy and approve it, then the chair will sign it also. I do have a confession. Number 11 on this report, I ticked the wrong box. It should be a yes and not a no, and the one that you're about to sign has a yes in box 11, not a no. So apologies, but at least we spotted it before we sent it off to the auditors. So that's where we are, and obviously all the corresponding documents are there for you to look at, or ask any questions if you have any.
Thank you, and I can confirm that the one in front of me does in fact say yes on item 11, not no. So does anyone have any questions for Anne around this? Remember, this is your opportunity. You've got to take assurance from this before you vote for it. So now is the time. Anne?
I suppose the only thing that is slightly different that I should make you aware of as a council is because we changed our policy in terms of fixed asset limits, we wrote off a lot of fixed assets that were under £1,000 when we created this new. So there is like additions, disposals, and then write-offs because we got rid of everything under a certain value in line with the financial regulations that have been approved. So there's just that element that's different.
Councillor Kenny?
I'm looking at the bank reconciliation. Yeah. And I was going to ask a silly question about why the 4,506 was different from 4,509. And I noticed the net balance is at the 31st of the 3rd, 36. So I suspect, just to show you I actually read it.
That was there on purpose.
Forget about the hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Good spot, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor
I'll
Taylor?
update that before I send it off.
This is actually just because I don't understand something, not because I've read it like Councillor Kenny and noticed a mistake. But in the company that I work for, like our assets, they depreciate in value, but I noticed that our assets seem to have 100% held their value, which is amazing. I was just wondering if like that's a particular reason for that.
Yeah, so many years ago now, all local government finance became very simple, so that at this tier of local authority, town clerks could also be the RFO. So they took away things like depreciation and many other accounting things so that it was easier for people to manage. Mostly, I would say, because town councils don't tend to sell things, so it was sort of like a process, if you like. So yeah, and it's not even held anywhere in the accounts. There's no capital, nothing in the accounts in terms of, so it's just for your information.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Morris, is your microphone on? Just turn that off for me. Thank you. Okay, so everyone's happy. You've had the opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to propose 11G to receive and consider and determine the certification approval of Section 2. So we're going to approve Section 2 accounting statements for 2025-26. The figures as represented on the documents in front of you, and tick yes to item 11. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson. All in favour? Any abstentions? One abstention. Okay, I'll sign this one now. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, that's fine. Sign my life away there. 11H, we don't need that one. No. Okay, I'll propose we extend the meeting for 15 minutes. We won't need it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor, all in favour? Thank you very much. So we move on then to item number 12, committee minutes and reports, and I'll pass over to Councillor Thompson, planning and licensing.
I'm happy to, I'm just scanning down, proposing then planning and licensing minutes from the 15th of April, 26th of May, going forward. So seconder, please. Councillor Carter, all those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. I think that was everybody. Abstentions then.
Thank you. Item 13, the annual town meeting minutes. So we held the annual town meeting on Tuesday the 26th of May, and thank you for those who were in attendance at St Michael's Church, and thank you for them for hosting us, and thank you to the members of the public that turned up and asked questions. I'm happy to propose those minutes. Do I have a seconder? Councillor North, all in favour? Thank you. Abstentions? Thank you. Councillor Spry, did you stick your hand up? I couldn't see it from here. You did, yeah. Oh, you want to abstain? So that's 2 abstentions. Thank you. Item 14 then, Newquay Town Council issues. I don't think there are any issues, other than I really loved all the summer session posters downstairs. Have a look at them as you go out, they're brilliant. I wanted to wish everyone happy Pride Month, and I was really pleased to see that we've got the Pride flag waving proudly. Thanks to Amy and the team for that. I'm sure there was something else. It will come to me. Councillor Morris, your hand is so high in the air.
Right, I've had people to say to me today, the Patriots have said to me today.
Sorry, what was the word?
Patriots have said to me today, why did we have no St George's flag at on St George's Day, and we have a pride flag flying for a month?
Thank you, Councillor Morris. When you said the Patriots, I assumed you were talking about the New England Patriots there for a moment, the NFL team. But yeah, maybe. Well, thank you for your question. We have the Pride flag flying for June for Pride Month. We also have the Armed Forces flag coming up soon. Dinard flag that we fly. We have flew the Ukrainian flag in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine in the past. And
the actual question was, why didn't we have the St George's flag flying on St George's Day?
We don't have a flag. We don't have a St George's flag. And we didn't get any.
Can we put that right for next year at least, please?
We didn't get any correspondence. I mean, I'm. Oh, there's a motion, is there? Oh, I see. Okay. I'm sure that we have or will have a flag policy at some point, and I'm sure we can reference it in terms of when we might wish to fly flags. But given the divisiveness of some flags at the moment, I think I would be reticent to make any strong commitments at the moment as we sit here this evening. Councillor Kenny, you had a question.
Just a point to raise, because I'm sure everybody agreed that the turnout of residents was very disappointing at the town meeting. I mean, there were way more councillors than there were residents. So is there any action to be taken to generate more people to come along? I mean, I remember one year we gave away awards and things, and that made sure that we had the relatives of everybody who got an award. It's not ideal, but how do we get the town more interested?
Yeah, I mean, I think the actual mechanism that we use, which is, I believe, is a legal mechanism that we have to use, it isn't really fit for purpose in my opinion for this day and age. And actually what we should really be doing is getting out into our community, something that I said on the night for those of you that were there. And I know that we are doing that, through a number of different means. I know the clerk and I have talked about different venues and different ways that we could potentially run within the confines of what we have to do. And of course there is opportunity for community awards and bits and pieces. So we can certainly look into that for the next one next year. But yeah, I was as disappointed as you all were, I'm sure, with the lacklustre turnout. But obviously thank the residents that did come. Councillor Williamson.
Yeah, I agree. And it was really nice to see so many people here tonight, actually, in contrast to that. And I think hopefully the attendance at the Killer Court on a bi-monthly basis will also help with that kind of ongoing engagement processing. I agree, change of venue might help, because I think some people get turned off for multiple reasons, unfortunately, because it's held in a church. Whether they believe in that or not. And yeah, I just think it would be nice if there's one idea I did have was if there is a children's council of some description in one of the schools, can we get them along, and then there could be like a parallel conversation going on or something like that, so we hear the voice of the children as well as the voice of the council in that one room. So yeah, that was the thought.
Just on that point, because there is a bit of confusion over what the purpose of that meeting is. It is a parishioners meeting, so only electors of Newquay can actually attend, and obviously there's certain members of the council that don't live in Newquay anymore, and technically they don't have the entitlement to attend that meeting. And so when you talk about bringing schools in, that's absolutely great, but we need to recognise it's not a council meeting. So if we're going as a council, that's very separate to the reason, the purpose of the meeting. I think where you see large attendance at these meetings is when there's a divisive issue. Whipstead area was in one of the years. We have done award ceremonies, and we can do that. but it's blurring the lines between it's a parishioners meeting, what are your issues, and what polls and things that you want us to take forward, and what is actually a council meeting. And I think that's the difficulty sometimes. We tried to scale it back this year. We've probably gone a bit too far, actually, to be absolutely frank. But if you look at all the other councils that are doing it, where they have large attendance, it's because there is an issue in the town, like the trees in Falmouth. There's some issues with councils in Bude and other areas. I think that's the thing to be conscious of. It's not a council meeting.
It was also an exceptionally lovely evening, and maybe if we'd given out free ice cream, people might have come along, because I think a lot of us were thinking, being somewhere else right now would be quite nice, even though it was lovely to see a lot of you there.
Indeed, and it was in the middle of Whitsun half-term holidays as well. Indeed. So definitely there are better ways to engage in. In fact, we do. I just recently, as I said earlier, at the Eid Festival on the Killer Court, engaging with many residents of Newquay around many different issues, and I'm sure we'll all be doing the same with the couple with the councillor, as Councillor Williamson pointed out, and Pride, which is coming up, and all sorts of other events that lots of people attend. So that's that. Newquay Town Council issues. I spoke about the surf statue. Dates in your diaries if you want to come to that, and I think that's it. Does anyone else any other business? The next meeting, let's do another business first. Next meeting, so the next meeting is scheduled for the 2nd of September. We do have a reserve date at the beginning of July, and I can't remember the date off the top of my head. Should we have any issues that we wish to discuss before September, we can call that meeting for July. If we don't, then we'll bounce that to September. So if you have any issues that you wish to bring to a council meeting on whatever the beginning of July date is, 1st of July, then please make the office aware, and we can have a look at scheduling that. But at the moment, the next scheduled one is the 2nd of September, which is the day after 2 days after Bank Holiday Monday.
It seems a big break. Why are we not doing one in July? And personally, I think we do better to have one in August and not in September, because August is always off. But it seems a very big break this year.
So cue Councillor Morris to tell me that the Wednesday at the beginning of August is his busiest day of the year, and so don't put a meeting at the beginning of August. Yeah, did I get that right? Yeah. And then I suppose with the delegated responsibilities and schedule of scheme of delegation that we have passed a few months ago, officers are obviously enabled and empowered to be able to make more decisions that don't require committee or full council sign off. So there's less decision making that's required of us for those kind of smaller operational things. So it was thought that actually, unless there's anything urgent, we don't need anything for July. At the moment, we don't have anything. So it would just be procedural, going through minutes of committees and bits and pieces like that. So is that all right? Yeah, forming of committees. So
Make us less available. If people think there's a meeting at the beginning of every month, then they might come in and talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. So I'm concerned that there's such a big break. But I mean, I know it's the summer and everybody wants to go away, and there are better things to do in an evening than yeah, well, we'll be doing planning.
So just as
deprived from a meeting, there will be at least 12.
So just bring it back to order, because I want to go home. Just 2 points I wanted to make. Number one is, whilst I absolutely accept what you're saying, the evidence would suggest otherwise in terms of the number of meetings where no one turns up. And secondly, this calendar of meeting dates was signed off a month ago at our last full council meeting. We all had sight of it at the time. I think we even had a discussion about this particular point, and it was agreed and signed off by us all. So, but we have that reserve date if we need it, and so the next meeting is 2nd September, and I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you.